Hello and welcome. My name is Ambrosia and my project proposal is Increasing Educational Attainment Through Resource Connections, overseen by Dr. Lois-Ann Kuntz. As a recent graduate of the University of Maine at McCrea, my final project was to invent a project that helps a specific minority group. I chose low-income families with young children as my focus. Having had periods of my childhood where what we ate came from worried neighbors, times when we had no electricity, no running water, and even used an outhouse in the dead of winter, I've been passionate about working to mitigate the effects of poverty ever since. Despite the poverty I grew up in, when I had the opportunity to participate in Family Futures Down East, I realized how fortunate I was. Over two-thirds of American fourth graders are illiterate, and the majority of those are from low-income families. I was blessed to be homeschooled by a mother who prioritized reading and writing and fostered a love of research. Truancy is a huge factor in a child's ability to complete their primary education, yet when a family is concerned about feeding and housing their children, getting them to school may not be high on the priority list. Low-income families often find themselves lacking high literacy home environments. Parents may be functionally illiterate themselves and not have the ability to read aloud to their children. Low literacy homes are especially an issue in rural areas like Washington County, where libraries are often out of walking distance and resources to provide extra reading support are difficult to access. Many low-income parents struggle to show the same level of support as high-income parents, due to having to miss school events because of working hours, lack of transportation, or even lack of childcare for their other children. With this project, I began looking at what supports are needed to boost children's education, especially focusing on reading levels. I have been in discussion about these issues with my connections in the community, as well as from local organizations who are already actively working on providing support. I found many families are unable to successfully navigate the various systems in order to receive their needed level of support. This led me to consider how the existing programs and systems could be maximized to provide a safety net, so to speak. This safety net would help children who would otherwise be falling through the cracks in at least one area. Then, loosely using Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I was able to create a picture of what support categories are needed for children to maximize their educational abilities. Then I began researching what supports are already available in our community, focusing specifically on Washington County, Maine. Washington County has over 35 family resource programs already available. However, each program has separate focuses and eligibility requirements. This project would help families in order to maximize their children's educational potential by concentrating on connecting them to community resources specific to the family need, which will boost the child's educational ability. I developed this visual, which gives a wonderful example of how many organizations are in Washington County. This visual also shows how difficult it can be for families to navigate the web to find which organization to turn to for specific resources. Some of these supports are geared more towards the children specifically, while others are directed more towards their adult providers, or the children reaping the benefits. The program would focus on supporting low-income families with at least one child between pre-K and fourth grades who are deemed at risk of reading difficulty through any of the following factors. They reside in a school district where reading achievement is below the national standard. Parents or siblings have a history of reading difficulty. There's a reported lack of appropriate home literacy experiences. There is a reported lack of age-appropriate skills in literacy-related areas. They're diagnosed as having specific early language impairment, diagnosed as having a hearing impairment, or diagnosed as having a medical issue which directly affects reading. My project would help clients in navigating the process of maximizing their children's educational abilities, both through connecting them with community resources and by providing them with an advocate who will help develop an individualized action plan. As the advocate works with the client, they will develop a specialized action plan for the family. The action planning process is a flexible process which involves gathering information about the student and family situation, both academic and non-academic, assessing the student's needs, involving them as much as possible in the process, determining the resource gaps through poverty indicators, developing family goals and determining what the family would like to use as markers of success based on program suggestions, developing a loose action plan to help guide the family, being very clear on who completes which portions, connecting them with existing resources, and maintaining communication to meet program deadlines, reviewing progress often and tweaking the action plan as needed. Between this and the previous two images, we can see that our area has a great number of resources already available to help in all categories. However, it is also easy to see how families may not be aware of or even have the ability to reach out to these wonderful organizations. This is where the proposed project comes in. Elizabeth Heron stated, "Successful organizations take the guesswork out of this process. They define what success looks like so they know when they have achieved it. Measures of success this program will utilize include both personal changes, such as client and community feedback, changes in parental engagement at their child's school, changes in children's absentee rates, and long-term changes in clients' reading status, as well as program changes such as the program's capacity to deliver services, the program's rate of successfully completing action plans, the participation rates, and the amount of intervention exposure, how many people were exposed to the program and for how long they were exposed, and broader community changes, such as the number of community residents who are familiar with the program and its goals, changes in community conditions or norms, and longer-term changes in population reading status. From growing up in poverty to becoming passionate about mitigating the effects of poverty, especially for families with young children, I was excited to tap into my knowledge base as well as the connections I have made in my community. My assigned 2 to 3 page final paper grew into the rough draft of a full project proposal that has been presented to the heads of established programs such as the Community Caring Collaborative and Family Futures Down East, as well as heads of up-and-coming programs such as the Connection Initiative. I am currently preparing to present this project proposal to one of our local movers and shakers, the John P. Gorman Foundation. It has been my privilege to also be selected as a presenter at this year's UMaine Student Symposium. I am so pleased to be given the opportunity to share my passion through this project proposal. It's a very personal topic for me, as I grew up in poverty and have personally utilized resources from over 24 of the 35 organizations. I am so grateful to my mother, who regularly informed an unappreciative teenager, "If you can read, write, and research, there's nothing you can't accomplish." I would like to extend my thanks to both the UMaine system as well as the Center for Undergraduate Research for making this possible. I would also like to express my gratitude to my professor and advisor, Dr. Lois-Ann Kuntz, for all her expertise and the refining she has given this presentation. Thank you.